Hello, Michael. How are you today? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you. It's great to be here.
Excellent. I'm so excited to have you on again for, I think, the fourth or fifth time in our podcasting careers. So, super glad you're here. I'm going to take a minute to introduce you to our audience for any new listeners that maybe don't know your name or your voice. So, listeners, today I have Michael from Happy English on the show. Michael is a passionate English instructor with over 30 years of experience helping people speak English better. Michael started his professional English teaching career in Sendai, Japan in 1994. And since then, he's worked in international education, both in and outside of the classroom. And Michael, you are back in Sendai again. Is that right? Have you gone full circle in your
I've,
career?
I've, yes, I realized that every 30 years in my life, I moved to Japan so far.
I
And
love that.
yeah, I just got here like 4 months ago.
I am so excited. And just so our listeners know a little bit of your background, what great American city were you in during that time in between,
In
right?
all that time, and
All
since I
that
was
time.
born, I was in New York.
Yes. And I would encourage our listeners to check out our back catalog of amazing episodes where you and I have talked about New York, about the culture, the slang. We always love learning about New York.
New York,
But
yeah, New York's a
yeah,
great city. That's for
absolutely.
sure.
But today, Michael, we are going to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about your move to Japan and
Uh-huh.
more broadly for all of our listeners about how we might compare one culture to another culture because I've also lived in Japan. You've lived there twice now,
Right.
probably on a more integrated level. I lived there for about a year and a half and taught English at Eon in Tokyo.
Hmm.
And I saw some major differences. So I'm super interested to know how we can talk in English about comparing cultures and what your biggest things you've seen that are different between Japan and the
Sure.
US. Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So
Yeah.
the first phrase that comes to mind is in contrast to,
Yeah.
and I can
Yes.
give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
In
Yeah.
contrast to living in the U.S., here, um, people don't barbecue in their backyard in the
Yeah.
summertime.
Yeah, yeah. Let me just back up before we go into the first phrase, Michael. I want to ask you a
Okay.
more broad question. When
Okay.
you stepped off the plane, so you've been there for about 3 months now since
Yeah.
March.
Three,
Okay.
4 months. 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you stepped off the plane since March, what
Yeah.
has been the biggest area of life in which you felt the biggest difference? Is it food? Is it like relationships? Is it work? Is there one bucket of
Yeah,
life?
probably the one thing is the food.
Okay. Okay. The
Um,
food. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the a typical American meal, there's a protein, we'll have a meat, or a fish,
Yeah.
and then a starch and a vegetable. That's a really typical American dinner, for example. But
Okay.
here, there's always a salad and some pickled vegetables, and
Yeah.
there's a variety of smaller portions of each thing, but more of each thing. And it's
Okay.
something that I hadn't really remembered. But yeah,
Interesting.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
So in the
for
US, you're
sure.
more used to eating maybe more of fewer things, like a higher quantity of fewer items. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm.
A baked potato and some chicken and some broccoli on the side. That's kind of
Yeah.
a typical, American dinner. But here it'd be like, yeah, you'll have like two small pieces of chicken and
Okay. Yeah.
some rice and some salad and some vegetables and some miso soup. And it's like this,
Yeah.
wow, there's always this huge
That
thing.
that resonates with my experience too, Michael. In Tokyo, we used to go out a lot with coworkers and we'd go to izakaya, right? And we would sit and order so many different dishes and share them. And it was such a nice variety of things. But I
Yeah.
love that. But so we just had 4th of July here, Michael, in the US. And
Hmm.
what I did, we grilled, right? We grilled bratwurst and hamburgers with
Awesome.
our family. And so tell me more. Let's bring back in for our listeners
Okay.
that first phrase to compare. Tell us about the
All right.
food culture, grilling culture. Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the grilling culture. Like I love grilling. In fact, when I lived in New York, I would even barbecue in November.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the taste of food cooked on a grill.
Yeah.
And the distance between our house and the property line on one side to the neighbor's house is 1 meter. right? About 3 feet.
Yes.
And
Wow.
to the other side is 2 meters.
Okay.
And so, and the backyard is really small. And so I said, oh, I'm looking forward to the summer. We can barbecue. I'll make Japanese yakitori, chicken on a
Yeah.
stick.
Sure. You see them at the
Um,
festivals, right? You always
all
see
right,
that
and,
when you
and
go to
I'm
the
living
street
with my
festival.
in-laws, right? And my
Okay.
father-in-law
Okay.
said, oh, no, no, can't do that. So like in
Yeah.
contrast to living in the States,
Mm-hmm.
people don't barbecue here. And I'm like,
Interesting.
but you guys like grilled meat. There are grilled meat restaurants. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
Y-
So the thing in Japan is the amount of livable land
Yeah.
is very small. So everyone
Yeah.
has the house is really tucked into the edge of the property. So
Yes.
nobody wants to grill outside
Right.
because they don't want to offend the neighbors with
Mm-hmm.
the smell or the smoke of a
Yes.
barbecue.
Interesting. So,
Yeah,
go even further and use the in contrast to, right? In contrast to the US, it seems like we're talking about politeness being or respect for neighbors being maybe more important in Japan than in the US. Would you say
absolutely.
so? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, in contrast to my life back in the States,
Hmm.
like you have to always be very careful about you don't want to put the garbage out too early because that'll bother the neighbors. So we're always aware of not annoying the
Hmm.
neighbors.
Interesting. But in
Yeah,
New York, I mean, you're also living on top of other people, essentially. When I lived in New York, you and I have parallel lives in a sense. Life in New York, life
right,
in Japan. I lived in those buildings, the apartment buildings with the external fire escapes, and, fourth floor walk ups, right? Fourth floor
right,
walk
right.
ups. Where did you grill in New York? Did you go to the roof of the building or did you have a
No, I lived in the
backyard?
suburbs in New
Okay.
York.
Ah,
So I had a
nice.
house and I had a backyard, and everybody grills
Yeah.
5 or 6 p.m. You walk out in your backyard and all you smell is, oh, okay, maybe he's making steak. Oh man, I smell burgers over there. Like,
That's a great smell. Yeah.
right, that's the smell of summer.
Yeah.
And and here
Yeah. Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
missing that.
No, I can understand your feeling. I'm not a big meat eater, but I actually love the smell of barbecue, the whole thing, being outdoors, eating outside.
Right.
So maybe you'll have to go to a lot of street festivals to get that smell, right? Or the beach or something.
Exactly.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. So that
I,
is
I I think
yeah.
I think in contrast to living in Japan, in the States,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, like the barbecue, even if you're not a big meat eater, that's an event, right? You cook the food
Yes.
outside, you eat the food outside.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
whole cultural experience.
You bring
It's not
game if you have
just cooking
mm-hmm.
the food.
Yeah, lawn games, sitting in reclining chairs, Adirondack chairs. It's a whole thing.
Right.
So interesting. Okay, so that's a
Yeah,
big difference, and that might hit you in terms of culture shock hard in the summertime. But what would
for
be
sure.
another way then, Michael, that you would compare Japan to the U.S.?
All right.
Maybe
Yeah.
another phrase. Yeah. Hmm.
Um, Even though it might look similar,
Hmm.
uh, it's like apples and oranges.
Oh, I love that. Okay,
It's
tell us
like
more.
apples and oranges. Two different kinds of fruits. You really can't compare apples and oranges, right?
Yep. Hmm.
So, um, life here is like apples and oranges. And I'll give you a concrete example of that.
Yeah.
Recycling. You recycle where you live?
We do, but sometimes I see at different houses and restaurants they don't, believe it or not. So it's weird. In Denver, I was shocked. On the East Coast, in Cambridge and New York, we
Mhm.
always did.
And and in
Yeah.
what way did you recycle? Like, how do you separate the garbage
Oh
there?
yeah, it's not nearly as intense as what I saw in Japan too. So you basically have a big recycle bin and you throw
Hmm.
everything in there that would
Right.
conceivably be recycled, but it doesn't
That's
work
right.
well in the States. Tell us how it
That's right.
works in Japan.
It's like apples and oranges. Okay,
Yeah.
so first of all, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Um, there's a calendar
Mm-hmm.
each month published by the local community of what to recycle on what day. And so
Wow.
let's talk about plastic, for
Okay.
example. So,
Yes.
you have a bottle of water, right? Now you'll notice I
Yeah.
took the label off because this is empty and this is going to go out.
Okay.
In Japan, in America, you just throw the whole
Just
thing
throw it
into
in.
the
Yeah.
recycle. But here We peel off the label, that's 1 day. We take off the cap, right? And this little plastic piece, that's
Uh-huh.
another recycling day. And then the bottle
Oh.
itself, don't crush it, just like
Ah.
that. That's another day. Okay. So there's,
Interesting.
yeah, everything is divided
Wow.
incredibly, you know, uh,
It's organized, isn't it?
it's
They
very, very, it's too organized. Glass bottles. Today was clear bottle day.
okay.
So we put
Ah,
out all the clear bottles.
okay.
But there's also brown glass bottles and there's green glass bottles.
Yes. And
And so
yes. Okay.
that's like, so when I say it's like apples and oranges, it's completely different
Yeah.
here.
It's almost like you can't call it recycling in the US, what we're doing here. I'm not sure what we're doing. I think what we're
Yeah,
doing, like I said, is not working. I think there's a lot of rejection of items we put in there because it's not organized enough. But I remember when I lived in Tokyo, there was always a netting over the trash. So
right.
I don't even know what I did with my trash. I don't even know. But I was afraid to go in there. I was really afraid. Everything was in Japanese. I didn't read kanji very well. And very organized, let's say that much. So it's
Yeah.
like apples and oranges. I love that
Like apples
expression,
and oranges.
Michael.
Yeah.
Are there anything else that you might compare like apples and oranges? Things that just can't be compared?
Um, yeah, I can't off the top of my head. So like getting back to food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the variety of of vegetables here and
Mm.
pickled vegetables and boiled vegetables. You
Yes.
know, coming from an Italian American background, everything
Right.
was olive oil, garlic, and spinach. Olive oil, garlic, and broccoli. Very, very simple, right?
Basic. Yeah, basic.
Basic
Hmm.
here, but here it's like it's steamed and it's boiled and it's with
Wow.
uh, dashi soup stock and it's
Yes.
um,
Yes.
just the variety of food compared to the States. It's like apples and oranges
It's
here.
like apples. That's a good example. Yeah. So hitting our nutrition goals, right? That's one thing I loved about Japan is that how healthy the food was. Like I said, the vegetable, the fish was just incredible. Whereas in the US, we
Yeah.
have a lot of ultra processed foods. Maybe you don't see that quite as much there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like
Yeah.
there isn't, you know, there isn't that processed food culture here. You know, they
Mm-hmm.
it's really basic. Um,
Yeah. Interesting.
eggs, when you go to the grocery store here, right? The eggs
Mm-hmm.
are not refrigerated. They're
Right.
just kind of hanging out there in the store.
Yes.
And, you know, they even eat, I don't, but they eat raw egg,
I remember.
right?
Yes.
Because it's
Yep.
fresh enough that you can do that.
Yes.
And I personally can't because, you know, they call
Because
that mind over matter. I can't eat a raw
right.
egg.
Our eggs are not as fresh. I remember that too, going out for sukiyaki, and I noticed my coworkers started putting their meat into the egg, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, I was always told by my mom I can't do that. I can't eat
Right.
raw eggs." And then I learned later it's just that they are so much more fresh in Japan. So,
Right.
again, another really good way to compare cultures, apples to oranges, right? And we don't have to be
Apples and
talking
oranges.
about food, of course, right,
That's
Michael? We
right.
use this expression. Yeah. Love it.
That's right.
Okay, what would be our third? Let's go for one more and maybe a story if you have a story there.
Um, so in the States, when you go to a restaurant, right,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty common that you can order something off the menu or a variation, right? So
Yes.
you say, you know, hey, can I get a baked potato instead of French fries? Oh yeah, yeah,
Right.
no problem. Usually that's, you
Right.
know, if the food exists in the kitchen, you know, they're more than happy to do that for you.
Yeah.
Whereas in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
there's a menu
Okay.
and you can order what's on the menu.
I see. Okay.
And that's basically it.
Okay. I love it. So you use the phrase whereas, right, to make the
Whereas,
comparison.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. So there's no, I've actually never done that, but I've always wanted to do that in the US. Request something that's not on the menu at
Hmm.
all, but I know it's very simple and is made out of the ingredients that are already in the kitchen. Is that something
Right.
you used to do a lot? I understand like tweaking your order. Like I want cheddar cheese instead of Swiss cheese on my burger, but going in and
Yeah.
asking for a grilled cheese if it doesn't exist on the menu. Is that something that you've done before or would do in the
Yeah, yeah,
US?
yeah, yeah. In the States, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Depending on the restaurant, of course.
Sure, sure,
It's
sure.
not
Yeah.
it's not weird to
Yeah.
ask, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas in Japan, you know, like you just don't do that because they have a menu,
Okay.
So it's
Whereas,
whatever on the
interesting.
menu.
Is this, I mean, I love talking about cultures and cultural differences. Does this point to something that you know about the culture in Japan that you can articulate?
Yeah. So um if I have to describe Japanese culture in one word, that word would be uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And not only do public servants wear uniforms, people who work in customer service wear uniforms, kids
Yes.
wear uniforms in school, but the
Right.
culture is uniform. There's a rule. There's always a rule for something, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
so the menu in the restaurant, that's what we offer. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
you can have that. And it's like, all right, well, um, there was a movie with Jack Nicholson. I can't think of the movie where he wanted to have toast, and the woman said, we don't
Oh,
serve toast. And he's like,
yeah.
all right, give me a chicken salad sandwich on toast. Hold the chicken salad.
This is in Japan. Is it lost in translation? No.
No, that's an
Oh,
old
in the
Jack
US.
Nicholson movie. I forget.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But like,
Okay.
but like here, it just you can get toast with your eggs if you want, but only if it comes with that.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Like if
Interesting.
if you if you go to a restaurant like for breakfast, right? And they have the morning because they call it the morning set. And
Mm-hmm.
I say, oh, can I get some toast on the side? They give
No.
you that look like you're
Right.
from,
Yeah.
planet X
Yeah, for
because
sure.
it's not on the menu. And I think that's, you know, the trains are on time here,
Oh my gosh.
right?
There are
Right?
massive
Everything's
benefits.
punctual. When
Yes.
when you call for the plumber and the
Mm-hmm.
plumber says, "Okay, I'll be there tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning," the plumber comes ding dong at 11 o'clock in the morning. They come in, they take off their shoes, and they have all of the tools and all of the parts to do the job.
Like
Boom,
clockwork. So they get
like
it done.
clockwork.
Yeah. I mean, I
Right,
remember how amazingly on time the trains were in Japan versus,
right,
in New York, every weekend something is shut down. One of the lines is shut down, something
right.
breaks. It's kind of a disaster.
Absolutely,
It's shocking
absolutely,
that anything gets done. And today's
absolutely.
conversation, it's not about one culture being better than the other.
Right,
I love Japanese culture. I love American culture. I love many different cultures, but it's about experiencing them and for our listeners today being able to compare. So that is what I want our
right,
listeners, everyone, to pay attention to today is you've learned the key phrases to compare any culture with any other culture. So just real
right.
quick, a recap, Michael, what were the phrases again? So the first
Okay.
one,
In
mhm,
contrast to the USA, we don't barbecue in the backyard here.
yes, excellent. What was the second one?
The second one is comparing recycling in the States to recycling in Japan. It's like comparing apples to oranges. It's like apples to
Yes,
oranges,
apples to oranges. And our
right?
third one that our listeners should write down.
Whereas, a little bit more of a formal phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Um, good if you're taking one of those English tests, right?
Sure.
IELTS, TOEFL, right?
Yep. Yep.
Whereas, um, in the States, you can easily order off the menu, whereas in Japan, you should better stick to that menu and
Love
what's
it.
on there.
Yeah.
Whereas,
And Michael, to wrap up today, any final piece of advice when you're new in a culture or just being reintroduced to a culture, kind of mindset wise, in terms of how to take it in? Do you have any tiny piece of advice for our listeners if you're
yeah,
living abroad? Yeah.
um, English is a global language now, and people are traveling more and going to different places. Realize, and I don't know who said this, but somebody said one time that all human beings have the same wants and needs and desires, and
Yes.
every culture has a different way to bring that.
I love
So
that.
it's not as you said before, Lindsay, it's not saying that one culture is better than another.
Yes.
It's just all cultures are different. And so
Yes.
flexibility, when you travel somewhere and you go, okay, maybe we're going to speak English here, but the culture's this, it's going to be a little bit different. And so having
Yes.
that flexibility will help you so that you're not all like,
Right. It just makes life so much easier when we're open to
absolutely.
things looking different. And yeah, good point. You are using the language, but it's going to look very different the way things get done. And we all have the same kind of basic human needs, human connection, right?
Right.
Learning things, self actualization, but we get there in a different way. So
Absolutely.
well said, Michael. Michael, where can our listeners find your podcast? Tell us a little bit, just for a minute, how to find your show, what you talk about on
Oh,
your
sure.
show. Mm-hmm.
It's the Happy English Podcast, and you can type that into the search bar of your browser here or wherever you find podcasts. Just type in Happy English Podcast. The website is myhappyenglish.com,
All
and
right.
yeah, if you
All
type
right.
in Happy English Michael, you'll find me somewhere.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you for being on the show again, Michael. And I hope to collaborate with you again, maybe next year. We'll see, right?
Lindsay, thank you so
Great.
much for having me. It's been a pleasure and a lot of fun talking about culture today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. Have a good day.
Yeah,
Bye.
you too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.